In this video, I'll walk you through setting up OAuth 2.0 with your personal Microsoft email account, which can be used in Zeems to send outbound emails. It's becoming a challenge to send emails from devices and application servers because many SMTP servers require the use of OAuth 2.0, which legacy devices and apps cannot support. To solve this, you can configure your devices to send emails to Zeems, which will then send those messages to your personal Microsoft email account. This video already assumes you have Zeems installed and running. To start, I access the Zeems web interface and log in as admin. Next, I hover my mouse over server configuration, then click here. I now see the setup page for SmartHost. Notice the authentication type. There are two available types when using a SmartHost running on Microsoft: OAuth with Microsoft and OAuth with other servers. When using OAuth 2.0, you must first create and register an app with Microsoft. This app will then be configured for the necessary permissions, or scopes in OAuth lingo, along with URIs that are allowed to access this app. This app also creates a client ID and a client secret. To facilitate OAuth integration, Cinemetrics Technologies has already created an app with the correct parameters and uses it when you select the OAuth with Microsoft option. Therefore, using this option is much simpler. However, it only works with an enterprise account from Microsoft, which is not free and requires you to pay for the services. In this video, I will be using the second option, which you can use with a free Microsoft account. However, this requires manually creating the app, which includes adding the scopes, configuring the URIs, and creating a client ID and secret. This process is not needed when selecting the first option. I see many required fields that need to be completed. I set a friendly name here. Using this sender field, you can restrict this SmartHost to be used by specific email senders. Note that I can create multiple SmartHosts in Zeems. The first one is called the default SmartHost, and this is the only one where I can leave the value for sender filter blank. I must specify a value for this field for every subsequent SmartHost I create. The value for the SMTP server hostname is smtp.office365.com, which points to Microsoft's server. The port number is 587, and the security should be start TLS. I enter my Hotmail address in the user ID field. To obtain the remaining values, I need to configure the OAuth for my Hotmail account. To start, I log into Intra by going here. Once logged in, I need to create a new application. First, I click App Registrations. Next, I click on New Registration. I set the name. Since I am using my personal Hotmail account, I select Personal Microsoft Accounts only. If I was using a corporate account, I must select this option instead. In the Redirect URI field, the platform should be set to Web. I need to add a redirect URI. To obtain this value, I return to the SmartHost configuration in Zeems, where it will provide the necessary values to enter here. Once specified, I click on Register. The overview page will be displayed. I now have the client ID value. I select this and put it into Zeems. Next, I'll have to add a client secret. To start, click here, then click on New Client Secret. Once the description is set, I click Add. It will now display my client secret. It's very important to acknowledge that your client secret is specified in the value column, not in the secret ID. I select this value and put it in Zeems. I can now add the rest of the URIs. To do this, I click here, then I go back to Zeems to copy and paste the rest of the values. For the OAuth to work properly, additional API permissions must be added. To start, I click on API permissions here, then click on Add Permission. By selecting the Graph API, I look for two permissions: offline access and smtp.send. Once I add these permissions, I will be able to see them here. Two more fields have to be completed in Zeems. To retrieve the value for the Open ID, I return to the overview page for the app, then click on Endpoints. Here, I copy the value for the Open ID Connect and paste it here. Finally, I have to specify the scope for my personal account. This is the first part of the scope. This section is based on the smtp.send permission that I have added to the app in Microsoft. I then put a space to separate the next section of the scope. The second part is offline_access, which is the other API permission that I have added in the app. The value of the scope is different if the account I am using is a corporate account. In this case, here is the value. I put the full scope value in Zeems, then click on Save. Once all fields are saved, clicking on Save should take me to the login page for my Microsoft account. Microsoft requests permission to allow Zeems to connect. Before I click Accept, I want to emphasize that if I have selected the first authentication type for Microsoft, then I would not need to spend all this time adding an app, then configuring the settings in both Entra and Zeems. Since Cinemetrics provides the app, using OAuth with this option is much easier to do. Coming back to the permission page, I click on Accept. Once that is done, I can now see the smart host along with the access token. I run a test email and send a message to my Gmail account. After it says the test is successful, I log into my Gmail account and now see the message that my Hotmail account sent. This concludes the video tutorial. Please visit our website for articles and more video tutorials.